The world's most comfortable shoes are made of wool. Even Tab Magazine said so. The Wool Runner is your go-to lace-up shoe for everywhere you go. Flexible, supportive, and light as a feather, they take you seamlessly through your entire day. The Wool Lounger, it's a breathable, lightweight, slip-on shoe that's perfect for everything from a red-eye trip across the country or your favorite sport event. Comfort, style, and sustainability do not have to be mutually exclusive. Allbirds is dedicated to making stylish, comfortable footwear using premium natural materials designed for life's everyday adventures. Less is more, which is why Allbirds doesn't include any unnecessary logos or detailing. Instead, Allbirds designs the simplest, most comfortable shoe they could using premium sustainable materials without the premium price. Allbirds textile is made from superfine New Zealand merino wool using fibers that are 20% the diameter of a human hair. Think about that. So unlike the wool you may be used to, Allbirds breathable fabric regulates temperature and moisture without any itch. Allbirds merino wool is ZQ certified. That means it meets the stringent standards of sustainable farming and animal welfare. In other words, no sheep were harmed in the making of these shoes. With the holidays right around the corner, it's time to consider Allbirds as a gift for someone on your list or just for yourself. They're available in a variety of new colors. You can find the perfect pair for you at allbirds.com.
Want an easy way to see if you could save money on car insurance? Geico gives you 3. Call 1-800-947-AUTO. Go online to geico.com or stop by the Geico office nearest you. 3 ways you could save 15% or more.
And now, Jalen and Jacoby on ESPN Radio.
When I pop the trunk, head the dirt. Y'all pop the trunk, I pop the hood. Now act stupid, I'll pop the trunk. Now give me your boom.
He is Jalen Rose.
What up, Dow?
I'm David Jacoby.
And on the cool check-in.
Yes. And we are Jalen and Jacoby on ESPN Radio. And it's Friday. What do?
We get it, people.
Yes.
What they want.
We've given the people what they want for 6 years. It's Jalen and Jacoby. Jalen Rose, Draymond Green gave some information to our colleagues at ESPN.com. He said after losing Game 7 of the NBA Finals last year, he got to the parking lot, sat in his car, and called none other than Kevin Durant, like, please come play with me. Come play with me. LeBron keeps beating us. Are you surprised that Draymond didn't even wait till he got home to call KD?
I'm not surprised. And while everybody else was playing checkers, Draymond Green was playing chess. Here's why. Had they won in Game 7, he wouldn't have called Kevin Durant. He would have been somewhere with a cigar and or all of the champagne that he could enjoy. So understanding that KD was up 3-1 against the Warriors, lost that series, saw the Golden State Warriors was up 3-1, lost that series, it almost was right for Draymond Green to reach out to the pending free agent at that pivotal time, because a lot of times it's not what you do, it's when you do it. And that was the optimal moment for him to actually reach out to him and get his attention.
There are so many things about this that I love. It is really smart of Draymond, because I would be just replaying shots that I missed in my head. I'd be so mad at my teammates complaining about them. Another thing is, think about Kevin Durant. Like, he just watched Game 7 of the NBA Finals. We all remember how good that game was. And there it is, like 40 minutes later, all of a sudden he looks down at his phone. He's like, Draymond's calling me? What is happening? How long do you think they spoke on the phone?
I think the conversation was long enough to acknowledge the fact that you probably can win a championship in OKC with Russell. We already won a championship in Golden State without you. If we team up, we can win multiple championships. And one of the things that get overlooked about Draymond Green, we know about his intensity. We know about his toughness. We see him play with emotion. But Draymond Green is not only versatile, but he's a winner. In high school, he won back-to-back state championships. Big Ten Player of the Year at Michigan State. A championship-level performer at 6'7" for the Golden State Warriors. Look at how he was built in college, how he has transformed his body, transformed his game into a guy that can function in positionless basketball, guard players that are 4 or 5 inches taller than him, lead his team in rebounds, be one of the team's leaders in assists, yet grab and go, knocking down threes. And this is why he wasn't thinking about the shots he missed in Game 7 or 6 for that matter, because he was balling. And had they won the championship last year, he would have been Finals MVP. So it wasn't a lot for him to think about other than the fact that he got himself suspended. Draymond Green being suspended.
Don't say it for the 18,000th time. Come on.
Huh?
You say this too much. Jalen, I know you think that if Draymond got suspended, they would have lost the game. Draymond was not suspended in Game 6 and Game 7. He was not suspended in Game 6 and Game 7.
Like I said, if Draymond Green plays in Game 5, the Golden State Warriors win last year. And I'm not seeing them slowing down as a team that's going to win a championship this year in outstanding fashion.
So here we are with the Warriors looking like they're going to win, I don't know, not just this year, next year, a couple years. This looks like a dynastic team. Anything can happen. We can't see the futures. But looking at the current state of the NBA, are the Warriors bad for the league?
Was Bill Russell winning 11 championships in 13 years bad for the league?
No. Probably not.
Was Michael Jordan winning 6 championships and also winning 6 Finals MVPs bad for the league?
No. Definitely not.
Was Magic Johnson getting drafted to a team that already had Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, who had already won a championship with the Big O? They play together and then draft James Worthy number 1 overall after they lose in the finals. Was that bad for the league?
No. I would say no.
Was Shaq and Kobe teaming up together when Shaquille O'Neal was a free agent and left Orlando to go to L.A., and then they fleeced the Charlotte Hornets for the draft rights to Kobe Bryant for Vlade Divac? Now all of a sudden they get Phil Jackson, who had just coached the Bulls to 6 championships. Was that bad for the league? How about Tim Duncan?
I'm starting to think that you don't think the Warriors are bad for the league.
Was LeBron James leaving the Cavs to go to Miami and team up with Wade bad for the league and Bosh? No. They sat up there and said, not 5, not 6, not 7. And it's only ironic that the person that's about to beat LeBron James, Kevin Durant, clearly was against it in 2010 when he tweeted about it. Now all of a sudden the Warriors are that team that actually get a chance to accomplish what the Miami Heat talked about.
We have an update on Poopgate. Steph Curry insists that he was not mock pooping on the floor after Kevin Durant hit that dagger 3 in Game 3. He went on to say, quote, I really don't know what I did last night. I saw it, but I don't know what I was doing. I even dropped my mouthpiece because I was so uncoordinated in that sense. Do you believe Stephen Curry did not poop on the floor in Cleveland?
He been pooping on the floor in Golden State and in Cleveland because he averaging 29, 9 assists, 9 boards. When the last time you seen a player in the finals basically average a triple-double with 30? These are the numbers Russell Westbrook averaged throughout the regular season to win MVP. And he's not even the best performer on his team. How about that for greatness when you talk about the Golden State Warriors? This is when you have 2 MVPs on the team at the exact same time, and they're both under 30 years old. The only time I recall seeing this is Shaq and Kobe. Both players won MVPs in their primes. They won a championship together. Mike and Scotty, 2 of the top 50 players of all time, playing on the same roster at the same time. They get Dennis Rodman. They get Tony Kukoc. This is the vein that has been created for the Golden State Warriors. And this is not a knock on the Cavs. Everybody stop talking about what the Cavs not. It actually means something to win an Eastern Conference championship. That's what they did this year.
Absolutely.
They won the championship last year. Cleveland hadn't won a professional championship in sports in over 50 years. Now you upset that you're not going to win it back-to-back? It's the Golden State Warriors' turn. It's their world, and we're just living in it.
There is so much, should LeBron have done this? Is LeBron going to leave? Did LeBron get tired? There's so much of that. I think people need to recognize that being second place and losing the NBA Finals is an accomplishment in its own right. Very quickly, Jalen Rose, I want to talk to you about these Warriors because they have a lot of offseason decisions to make. I'm going to name a player that's currently on the Warriors roster who is going to be an unrestricted or restricted free agent this summer, and you're going to tell me very quickly if they're going to be on the team next year. Are you ready, Mr. Rose?
Let's get it.
Steph Curry.
100% he'll be on the team next year.
Yep. Kevin Durant.
100% he'll be on the team next year.
Yep. Andre Iguodala.
100% he'll be on the team next year.
Sean Livingston.
If he's unrestricted, I wouldn't be surprised if somebody comes and give him a big deal. Yep. If he is restricted, I think he'll be back.
Matt Barnes.
I think he'll be on the team next year.
What? Ian Clark.
I know one thing. Derek Fisher better not be driving any more cars registered to Matt Barnes.
There's some very important news in the world that we need to discuss. First of all, there is this, Mr. Rose. A Massachusetts medicinal pot dispensary is now selling pizza infused with marijuana. Is infusing the medicinal into the munchies a soft move or a boss move?
That's a boss move. It's already happened. Where have you been? Don't you know about the brownies?
No, I don't.
And the Rice Krispies?
No, I don't. I know nothing about these
You ever
things.
heard of them?
No, I
you
have
wouldn't
not.
know about such a thing.
I have not.
But this is what I want to know. Please let our audience know, because you have a lot of things that your expertise is exquisite at. Mm-hmm. One of the things that you're not only a master of the minivan, you're also a master of pizza. Can you please enlighten us on what you think about the medicinal with the pizza, based on your experiences that the world may or may not know about?
The longest I've held a job is here at the Entertainment and Sports Programming Network. I would say the second longest I've ever held a job is at Bell's Pizza in Amherst, Massachusetts. I was in the kitchen cooking up some dough, throwing it in the air and one style, catching it behind my back. I was in the walk-in, getting the toppings, slicing up the pepperoni, grinding up the cheese. I was greasing the pans. And you know what's annoying about working at a pizza shop? You got to make the pizza boxes. Nobody knows that, but those pizza boxes come flat. And when you got to put 80 of those together in a night, it's so annoying. God, but I'm so fast at putting pizza boxes together. More importantly, we have an update on the Olympic format. Jalen Rose, we have not spoken about this week. They are now introducing 3-on-3 basketball into the Olympics. It will happen in the 2020 Olympics. The rules are kind of what you would expect a half-court game to be. 1s and 2s, loser out, got to clear it behind the three-point line. 10-minute running clock, I'm not so sure about. Game is to 21. But here's where it gets interesting. USA Basketball isn't going to handpick either the men's or women's team. There will be qualification process. So it's like the U.S. Open. You can play your way into the Olympics 3-on-3 style. How do you think this is going to play out as an Olympic event?
I like it a lot. The more basketball, the better. And it continues to show the popularity of the sport. And this is what differentiates basketball from football, because what Americans consider football does not exist in the Olympics. Now you go from not only having normal basketball with international rules, you also have 3-on-3 basketball. International prospects, as it relates to the NBA, will continue to flood the league as it has over the last 20 years, and continue to skyrocket the popularity of a game where some people talk about whether super teams are good or bad for the league. All I know is this: attendance is up in the NBA. Yep. Ratings are up in the NBA. Yep. This is the most watched finals since the Jordan era, and the Golden State Warriors have swept the entire way so far.
I think that the ratings being so high for the finals has a lot to do with some of the biggest stars and the best players in the league clashing together in this anticipated finals matchup. But it also has a lot to do with your suits on Countdown. Let's be honest. Let's be real. You know what I mean? People want to tune in and see what Jalen's look is. I saw this, speaking of your style, I saw this in the New York Times style section today. In the New York Times style section, there was this long think piece about how it's now okay for men to wear black athletic socks with shorts. They say that the style started last year in Williamsburg, Brooklyn. Is there anywhere else that you've seen black socks and shorts before in the history of, mankind? Can you think of, a group of men that were influential that may have popularized this in the late to mid-90s? Can you think of that? Any ideas? Where's Tom Brokaw when I need him?
Where's Wally Schaefer?
To everyone else, it's breaking news. To Jalen and Jacoby listeners, it's broken news.
They just keep coming up with ways to disrespect the Fab Five.
I think there were some archaeologists. in the early 90s. Play basketball, really long shorts, ball heads. One guy had really bad skin and horrible teeth. They talked a lot.
Great use of archaeologists.
You know, and they decided for some strange reason when they were in Texas that they were going to go to the mall and they weren't going to wear black socks. And they didn't want anybody to know they were going to do it, so they went to the bathroom stalls and put on their game pants. They walked out on the floor. They snatched them off. And all of a sudden a revolution was born. Now, if only they could have patented that, they'd be getting paid forever. But instead, it's a multi-billion-dollar conglomerate, and we don't get anything. Barely can get an email back.
Jalen Rose, there is some video on the internet today that just makes me so happy. You know me, that I'm a bit of a negative person. There is some hate in my heart, and I recognize that, and I celebrate that. And sometimes I celebrate the failures of others, like this video of Britain's Labour Party leader, Jeremy Corbyn, enjoying his success in yesterday's election, celebrating with his colleague here. They hugged with one hand, pointed at each other with the other hand, and then he went in for the strongest, quickest high five of all time, only to come up empty, and he was left hanging. Is this the worst high five attempt in the history of the human species?
Well, a couple of things come to mind when I see that video.
Okay.
One, he clearly hasn't played sports because the distance wasn't there.
It wasn't there.
The angle wasn't there for a
He's out of his range.
high five.
He's not Kyrie Irving. You can't finish with this angle.
And also, doing a high five in the chest area of a woman, that could have gotten real ugly, actually, if he would have hit her. Lastly, it wasn't the worst Heisman Trophy moment that I've seen recently, however, from a politician. It was from our commander in tweets trying to hold his wife's hand once they got off the plane.
Oh,
she wasn't having it.
She was not having it. She was not having it. She can't
Not gonna be able to do it.
Real quick. She was like, "You gonna hold my hand, please, for the cameras?" No, I'm not doing that. Jalen Rose, there's some news. This is your guy. Gordon Hayward is your guy. Like 2-3 years ago, you were just like, Gordon Hayward can ball. And whenever we would, after the show, watch a Utah Jazz game, you're like, I'm telling you, Gordon Hayward can ball. And now here he is, a free agent. He could stay in Utah, probably make a little bit more money. There's a lot of reports that he would go to Boston. And now there are reports that Miami has emerged as a potential suitor. Where do you expect him to land? Utah, Boston, or Miami?
When you're the level of player of a Gordon Hayward, for me, it's not going to be breaking news when I hear multiple teams want his services, especially if they have the cap flexibility to make a max level offer to him, especially for 4 years versus the 5 years that he could get if he stayed in Utah. But for me, the bigger story is that I think he's going to leave Utah.
Yep.
And a lot of that, as well as Paul George, goes back to a rule that Kevin Durant was able to take advantage of before it was implemented, which is why now he's on the Golden State Warriors, and it didn't cost him $50 million for the 1 year and up to $70 million had he made All-NBA. And what I'm saying is, instead of Gordon Hayward and Paul George having to make the All-NBA team to get a Supermax deal of $200+ million, it should be all-star. So now you only protect teams that develop and nurture players in your small markets, but you also keep multiple all-stars in different cities. Now that this isn't the case, I do think he's going to leave Utah. And that's really unfortunate for a team that drafted him, saw him become an all-star level player, lead them to the playoffs, and it's almost a foregone conclusion that he's not going to be back with the team.
Unfortunate for Jazz fans, fortunate for Celtics fans. Very quickly, Stanley Cup Finals update. Game 5 was dominated by the Pittsburgh Penguins, 6-0. As hockey game blowouts do at the end, it turned into just skirmish after skirmish, and I loved watching it. But early in the game, we had Sidney Crosby on top of PK Subban just smashing his head into the ice. A little bit later in the game, we had Sidney Crosby just throw a water bottle onto the ice after one of the Predators slashed his teammate, and then he looked at the referee and was like, I didn't mean to do that. Is Sidney Crosby becoming a villain in the NHL?
First off, somebody needs to start protecting PK. Like, what's going on out here? I'm paying attention to the hockey. I'm paying attention to hockey, and he don't have any goons on his squad that got his back when people coming at him with this foolishness.
He is the goon.
No, he ain't the only goon. He need to have some goons on top of goons, like lawyers watching lawyers, like Biggie said. And come on, Sid the Kid. Like, seriously, throwing water bottles on the ice?
You can throw a water bottle, but don't look at the ref and be like, I did not mean to throw that water bottle. And he uses this little gesture like it slipped out of his hands. It's like, come on, Sid. Like, you just own it. Just own it. If you get away with the crime, just smile at him and say, I won't do it again. I'm not going to do it again. You don't got to lie about it. Oh, it frustrates me. I really want the Predators to win.
Right, be on your Tupac.
We need a 7-game series.
Yeah, be on your Tupac, Sid the Kid. I won't deny it.
I'm a straight rider.
We're going to give the people what they want. Open up our 1-800-Flowers Twitter feed and our voicemail box. Let's listen to the first voicemail.
Reggie, please get me on the show. Shout outs. I'm about to leave to Europe tomorrow. Question for Jalen. I'm from Chicago. My name's Andrew. I don't know if I said that already. How did you get casted for the barbershop scene? I just watched that movie again, and your lining, of course, crispy like always. Jacoby, this is my first time going to Europe. What's some advice, especially since I've never been to Europe? Shout out.
Well, it was really simple. I was a member of the Indiana Pacers. I get traded in February of that year. They had 9 wins. I knew we weren't going to the playoffs that year. But once I got on the freeway to go play with a young squad, I was like, I'm going to do my best to put in work. And that's what I was doing. I was happy. We won our first game against your Die Easy New York Knickerbockers.
Shout out.
And all of a sudden, I realized the movie Barbershop was actually being shot in Chicago. A good friend of mine, rest in peace, Monsignor North, was friends with Said the Entertainer, also my family, Small World Theory, who's also in the movie. It's nothing to reach out to the homie Ice Cube, who's my mentor, Bob Title, who was one of the producers. They all reached out to me and said, when you going to be in town? We'd love to put you in the flick. They gave me the date. They gave me the location. For family, I'll be there.
I'm going to answer his question about advice about going to Europe. First of all, I think he just assumes that all white dudes go to Europe. You know what I mean? I never said on wax that I've been to Europe before. We did a whole story time about Jalen going to Europe. He didn't ask Jalen about Europe.
Maybe because
he's just assuming that all white people go to Europe. But I definitely have been to Europe, and I have some advice. What happened, Jay?
It's almost like thinking that I've been to Africa before. He just think you're European, that's all. That's all.
I've been to Europe. I've been to Europe multiple times. My advice is this: go to as many countries as possible and travel on the train at night on red eyes. Use your nights to travel. You save yourself the cost of a hotel room, and you get a full day in one city and a full day in another country. That's the way to travel through Europe. Let's listen to the next voicemail.
Jalen Jacoby, love the show. You guys are awesome. I think you guys are the next big show. Don't never miss an episode. Ken from Phoenix. My question is, who would you rather have on your team if you're going to pick a basketball team? Dennis Rodman or Draymond Green? Thanks for the answer.
Jalen, I'd like you to answer this question. I'm assuming he means both at their peaks, because I'm not sure Dennis Rodman right now is in condition to play basketball.
At this point, you got to give Dennis Rodman the credit for what he's accomplished. A multiple-time champion, not only with the Pistons and the Bad Boys being able to perform with Isaiah Thomas and Joe Dumars, but also going to Chicago, being able to play with Mike and Scotty and bring that level of intensity, Defensive Player of the Year, and all of the intangibles, leading the league in rebounding. with everything that he's accomplished, you have to give him the nod. I don't think Draymond Green is in his prime yet.
Nope.
I know he was a second-round pick, and he's still in his 20s, so it remains to be seen, obviously. We're going to project that he's going to continue to play this way. Also, I anticipate he's going to win multiple championships, and he represents Saginaw pride, and I want to see him do this, but you can't say that he's on the level of Dennis Rodman just yet.
Thank you so much for the call, Ken. I appreciate it. And, don't be shy with that opinion about us being the next big show. Just let the at ESPN know that. You know what I mean? Nothing wrong with that. Don't be shy with that opinion. Shout it from the mountaintops on Twitter.
Reddit.
Next, this is from Simple Sensei on our 1-800 Twitter feed. Simple Sensei, sorry.
Shout out.
If LeBron leaves Cleveland again, will he get a statue? I can't lie, I've been thinking about this myself, and I'm so glad that Simple Sensei asked this question. Jalen Rose, senior statue analyst in the world. Does LeBron get a statue in Cleveland if he leaves the Cleveland Cavaliers after next season?
I say this with all due respect because I want to make sure that the basketball heads know that I want to acknowledge the greats that came before LeBron James that have their numbers hanging in the rafters. Though they hadn't won a championship in the team's history, the Cleveland Cavaliers have had some really great all-star, all-NBA caliber players. I would start naming Mike Price, Brad Daugherty, Austin Carr, but I don't want to leave somebody out. But with that being said, the history of that franchise overall, I have a question for you as it relates to LeBron James getting a statue in front of the building. Do you realize that they retired a player's number just last year? If so, can you, David Jacoby, tell me that guy's name?
Of course I can. Anderson Varejao.
No. Zadrunas Ilgauskas.
I knew it was going to be Ilgauskas. So here's my question is, I think he will get a statue in Cleveland even if he leaves, but if he leaves, it's going to be the Kareem statue where they wait way too long to give it to you just to kind of make you wait around. Like, they're not going to give you the quick statue like Shaq. They're going to make him wait for 20 years if he goes to another team and wins a couple chips there. Great question from you, Sensei.
I
appreciate
disagree.
it. Really?
I disagree.
Oh, they're going to make him wait. He's going to be fully bald.
I think it's going to take place because he already delivered on the championship like he promised he would.
Will he have hair when he has a statue?
You know what? His statue is going to have a crisp hairline. Oh, man. He's going to have his tightest fade. It's going to be like when he in his commercials.
Well, he does have a new project. Shout out to Paul Rivera. It's called The Shop. It's him and Draymond Green and some others, Steve Stout, some luminaries just chopping it up in the barbershop and talking. And on that, they're drinking wine while they get haircuts. And a question we have from Twitter from Matthias, he always hits us up. Appreciate it. Sorry if I said your name wrong. Drinking wine while you're at the barber. Boss move or soft move?
Soft move.
Really? Oh, I thought you were going to go the other way as a red wine connoisseur yourself. Huh. Why is that a soft move?
Let me so gather around, boys and girls. Let me teach you guys something.
Okay.
Okay.
Uncle Jalen.
First off, you shouldn't drink wine before 4 or 5 p.m. That should be a spritzer.
No, a white. You mean red wine? White wine goes very well with a lunch or a brunch. A red wine.
Correct.
I would agree with you on red wine. The sun has to be setting in the sky before the red wine comes out. That's fair.
It has to be a spritzer. It has to be a sangria. That's one. 2, if there's going to be red wine, it usually is in a beauty shop with champagne, not in a barber shop. Barber shop is where you buying 5ths and 40s and big bottles and passing around styrofoam cups and red cups so everybody can share the drink. That's what goes down in a barber shop. And lastly, that didn't look like wine to me. That looked like an old-fashioned that he was holding.
Oh, it was definitely wine. He is a wine connoisseur. And in this show, they talked about everything. They talked about LeBron going back to Cleveland. They talked about Game 7. One thing they didn't talk about in a show from a barbershop was LeBron's hair. Why do you think that is?
They talked about it, just got edited out because he's the boss.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. He is the boss. Let's listen to one more voicemail.
Jalen Jacoby. What's up, guys? This is Brad out here in Idaho. Got a soft move or boss move for you guys. Giving yourself a nickname. Is that a soft move or a boss move? I think that's a soft move. You can't give yourself a nickname. You got to have one that your friends give you or your buddies. Keep giving the people what they want. Keep getting them checks. Shout out to Reggie. Peace. Shout out.
Listen, giving yourself a nickname is definitely a soft move. You have to earn your nickname. It has to be something that naturally sticks to you like glue or spaghetti on the wall when it's ready, unless that name is Obi-Wan Jacoby. That's all the time we have for tonight. Thank you so much for listening on ESPN Radio, for watching on ESPN2, and subscribing to the Jalen and Jacoby podcast.
You're far too kind.